For sure, the most unexpected thing is the carpal tunnel pain.
That's been the most unexpected?
I've never heard anyone talk about it before. I never knew it was a thing. And it was nowhere on my radar of like that would happen to me. Welcome to Life Unleashed,
the podcast all about creating the best life for you and your furry best friend.
If you're a dog mom on the go, juggling life, work, and the endless joys of being a dog parent, then you're in the right place. I'm Dani.
And I'm Nick.
And together with the incredible dog mom community from Tails Up Pup, we're here to share advice, stories, and the obsession we have over the love for our dogs.
Get ready to laugh, learn, and lean on each other because life with your dog just got even more awesome.
This is going to be the last podcast that we film while I have a baby in my belly.
That is literally so crazy to think about. Our life is literally about to change so much.
Either this baby's coming out on its own or we will have to evict it by the time that this podcast is going up, because we'll be, far too baked.
I thought it'd be really cool to talk about reflecting on the pregnancy. This can go lots of different ways, and then kind of looking to the future, because this is going to be the last time that we don't have a kid of our own, and I think your perspective on everything is going to change. Yeah, I was going to say, we have filmed quite a few podcasts about the pregnancy, but this is our last one, or our last podcast about it, and it's our first kid, and we've never experienced anything like this, and we get a lot of feedback from other people who are interested in our experience. So we wanted to do one final hoorah. And you're a lot further along. I feel like we are really at the end stages now.
We're at the end here, so yeah.
Like you said, it's happening regardless very soon.
I've experienced it all, so.
Looking back on the pregnancy, is there anything, what is the most unexpected thing now that you've gone through pretty much the whole thing?
For sure, the most unexpected thing is the carpal tunnel pain.
That's been the most unexpected?
I've never heard anyone talk about it before. I never knew it was a thing. And it was nowhere on my radar of that would happen to me. And the pain that I've had for so long is so crazy to me.
I feel like out of all your symptoms, that's not been the worst thing, but I guess it's the most unexpected because didn't hear anyone
talk. I think it's been the worst thing, other than the nausea that was.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, that was worse. But other than that, the carpal tunnel has been second worst. It's very painful, and it I can barely right now it's good because I'm upright and holding this microphone. But yeah.
What are your expectations for the first 2 to 3 weeks after having the baby on how your body is going to feel?
Ooh, I feel like I'm trying not to have any expectations because everyone's body and everyone's situation is so different. But I think for myself, I have been trying to stay active and eat healthy and do all the things that will hopefully let me recover the quickest that I can. But it also is really going to depend on how the delivery goes. So there's still a ton of unknowns. But I feel like overall, if everything went in the perfect scenario, I would hope that, 2 weeks after birth, I would be feeling much better.
Do you think that before pregnancy, you had a lot of expectations on what pregnancy was going to be like? Did you have a lot of expectations, or did you try to follow the same thought of I'm not trying to have any expectations and just see what happens?
I think I didn't really have that many expectations. I wasn't very well educated or aware on all the things that could or could not happen. And I think that was good for me because I didn't have a lot of fear, where some girls who talk to a lot of people or do a lot of research are a lot more fearful of all these things that could happen. So I tried not to let that get in my way. So that was helpful. But then as we went through our pregnancy, we had to spend a lot of time educating ourselves on, all the things that we wanted or didn't want.
Yeah, I feel like we, more than maybe most, mainly just because there's not that many people in our lives that there wasn't that many kids that were around, particularly on a daily basis. And so we just really didn't know that much. We got to see some of our friends and things like that, but we just still lacked a lot of education and knowledge on pregnancy and young kids and all of that. And I feel like that may be a common thing. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people learn so much on their first kid, and until you have it happen to you, you don't really know.
I definitely think too, when it's your first pregnancy, that you're hyper aware of all the things you're doing and you care so much about every little thing, and that probably when the second kid comes, you know, we'll be more relaxed and it'll just be part of life. And right now it's like our whole world and all that we think about and all that we talk about, but I think it will be different when we have a second one.
I feel like this is going to be different, but do you have more expectations for how you're going to be or we're going to be as parents?
Than like before we ever got pregnant?
Well, just about like you were saying that you were trying not to have any expectations like for what, you know, it's going to be like after, you know, giving the baby, but
I have more expectations about the parenting than the pregnancy, because there were a lot of things that we talked about even before we got married about like what was important to us with kids and like raising them and all that stuff. So that was definitely always something that mattered more to me than like the pregnancy part.
Yeah, I feel like we did have lots of those conversations, but how do you anticipate like adapting to when those expectations are not going to meet reality?
I think still too, like we don't know like what we're going to do for schooling for our kids. And like, it's something that we talk about and we kind of are interested in a few different options. So that's why we just don't know. And like, it's going to depend on the kid and where we're at in life and all of that stuff. So I think a lot of things will change once the actual kid is here and we learn how life is going to be like. But overall, I feel like we've done a good job at like educating ourselves on what we're interested in and like learning about what is out there and like what we would like to do.
What recommendations would you have maybe to your, you know, future self for your next pregnancy? Like what are some like key takeaways that like you're like, I would write these down for me to reread? Because I'm imagining that, say, you know, 2 years from now, you're pregnant again, you're definitely going to forget. And I think this is a common thing that we hear from people. They kind of forget, like, I remember what it was like, and I definitely have that experience, but they don't remember everything. What would you tell yourself if you're like kind of writing your 5 bullet points to your future self or somebody, you know, that's going to be pregnant,
Ooh.
like what to think about?
Definitely like don't have too high of expectations for yourself. Like just like making it through those really hard times, like whatever you have to do to get through it. And I know
like don't beat yourself up. Like if you need
like
to take more rest.
Yeah, if you have to like, yeah, take a nap in the day or even you're not used to that, or like you had to leave work early because you literally like couldn't function anymore. Like it's okay to take those breaks or like eat that meal or like whatever it is. Like, you know, at least you're nourishing your body and like at least you have to listen to your body, really, is what I guess I'm getting at.
Is that I feel like this is something that you struggled with the most, on like really wanting to do stuff and then kind of running up against a wall of, I physically cannot do this.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm not used to sitting down and having to like rest, but sometimes I didn't have an option. And then you feel really bad if you don't do it. And same thing with the nausea, like carbs were what was really the only thing that I could get down for a certain amount of time, or like I literally could not stand water, which is so uncommon for me. And so like to be drinking soda was so out of the norm for me, but like I had to have liquid. So whatever I had to do to get it down was what I had to do at that time.
What other things would you recommend?
I recommend to anyone to like take notes, because you really will forget and like the time goes by so fast. So like every week I wrote down like what I was experiencing or like what the doctor said or anything, so I could look back, because like already I'm like, oh, what week did I start feeling better, or like what week did I start like getting a baby bump? So it's like fun to have those notes to look back on.
Yeah, I feel like you probably even now, you can tell me, do you even remember exactly like, it probably doesn't seem as bad now, the nausea and all the stuff you experienced in your first and second trimester. Is that true?
It definitely is true. And they say like you forget, and like all the pain of labor, like you'll forget, and you're like, how? Like when you're in the moment, you're like, how could I ever forget this? But really, when it gets better, then you do forget all the bad times. So that's nice.
What would you recommend as far as like preparing for the unknown? This can go towards like the pregnancy itself, for labor, which is still an unknown thing for you, or parenthood.
Well, I think that it's important to like have a birth plan, or to like have like education on like your options, but also not to get tied down on like, this is what has to happen, because at the end of the day, what your body's going to do is what it's going to do, and you won't have any control over that. And so like, if you're like, I'm not getting a C-section and I'm doing a vaginal birth and like this is what's happening, and then like you could go and have to like the cord could be wrapped around, or like the baby could be stuck, you might need the C-section. Like at the end of the day, getting that baby out in the happiest, healthiest way is what's most important. So being educated on everything and knowing that it's okay if your plan changes.
And like, keeping your mind open and not stressing out about like the unknown things that are out of your control.
And it doesn't mean that you can't be sad or that you can't be disappointed or like that you might want to try to do something else to prevent that. Like all those are normal feelings, but knowing that at the end of the day, it might have to happen.
Have you had to deal with any like sad events or disappointing things throughout the pregnancy?
I mean, not in comparison to like some other people.
No,
but
I'm
I
asking
feel
more.
like for myself, I think in the parts where people are like, oh, are you feeling the baby? Are you feeling the baby? And it's like, no, I'm not. And then you're like, well, what's wrong with me? Or like, what's wrong with the baby? And then finding out that the placenta was an anterior placenta. And then it did take me much longer to feel the baby. Now I feel it all the time and it's super cool. But I think that was really sad because surrounding me were people constantly asking and I'm like, I don't feel anything.
What about not knowing the gender? I feel like you could talk a bunch of different things about it. I'll ask you a specific question and then you can go whichever way you want. Do you regret thus far not finding out?
I don't regret it. I think the hardest thing is not feeling completely connected to the baby because you can't say he or she, or you can't call it by its name. And a lot of times we're calling it like weird names or it or they because we don't have anything to identify it by. But I do feel connected. Like it is my baby and it's like cool to feel it move. And like I grew this human being, but I think that connection part is a little bit different than someone who knows the gender. But I definitely don't regret it. I don't know if we'll do it again. How do you feel?
I feel like it's been I agree with the whole connection thing. I don't think that we're not connected, but I do think that like, as with anything, once you put a name to something, you just initially become more connected. Like if we knew it was going to be a boy or knew it was going to be a girl, we would be calling them by their name. And that would just, I think naturally anyone's going to feel more connected in that situation. However, I am so excited. Everyone gets the excitement of the birthday. Like, when labor happens and the baby's born, we're getting double excitement. We're getting to know who the baby is going to be then. That's an extra thing that just is cool. And I feel like because it's a pretty uncommon thing to do, we hear a lot of times that the labor team themselves get like extra excited for those because it is an uncommon thing and such a unique, fun, special thing that, everyone's experiencing at the same time, which is a cool thing. And I do think that once you have a kid, it kind of might be nice to, plan to know, is it going to be a brother or a sister or whatever it's going to be. But it was kind of cool to wait.
Yeah, because last time that we talked about it, I said, like, I don't think I would do it again just because I would want, like, the first kid to feel connected to its brother or sister. And you were like, no, I think we would do it again. So now you don't know.
I do wonder with your first kid, would it be hard, depending on their age especially, like if you're not able to say if it's going to be a brother or a sister, would they understand that? And I don't know.
We want our kids close together, so it really might not matter because like the kid probably won't be able to comprehend what's going on anyways at that young of an age, but who knows?
So you would recommend, like, if somebody is thinking about it at all, your experience thus far would be to wait to do it.
There is nothing else in the world that is like that much of a surprise, that it will be that exciting. And yeah, I am glad we did it, and I would recommend other people to do it.
Would you say it's been hard to wait once you made the decision to wait?
No. It's not something I ever think about.
I tell people, from my experience at least, that it is just like at 6 weeks old, like that you're pregnant and you can't know the gender. We felt that way the whole time, kind of like that. It's just the day our gender reveal is going to be the day that the baby's born, and for other people, it's like the gender reveal will be when I get the blood test or when I have the ultrasound. That was like their day. Our day has been passed, and once we've had that, and the nice thing too is because it's been a healthy pregnancy, we haven't had a ton of ultrasounds or a ton of things where we would be finding out again. So it really hasn't even been something that's been discussed in any of your appointments since the 20-week one, really.
Yeah.
Besides people asking, do you know? And it's like, no, I don't know. And it's like, well, we are not finding out today because we're not getting any of the tests done. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's like a constant thing. Besides, people asking. And it's a cool thing. Like, I really feel like I've said this before, but we have a really cool bonding experience with other parents that waited.
Yeah.
That instantly bonds you, no matter how old the person is. It could be someone that's like my grandmother's age, and they're like, oh yeah, we didn't find out either, and it's such a cool thing. Like, my grandmother was a twin, and they didn't even know that there was another baby, and
that is
wild.
It's
Imagine having twins and not knowing
that
you were going to be
having
having
crazy.
them.
What has been your most unexpected thing?
I feel like I had very little expectations going into like this whole process. I feel like it's been pretty standard for what I thought it was going to be. I don't know that anything was. I expected you probably to be sick and not feel well in the beginning. I think that's something that like is such a common thing that I expected that to happen. I think the most unexpected thing probably would be like just how well you've done to like be consistent about like working out and just like really prioritizing all of that stuff. I mean, I'm very proud of you for doing that. And like, I think that's a common thing you hear is like so many people, not just me, are like, I can't believe that you're doing this. I'm so proud, all this stuff. And just like the hard work that you've done. Like, I'm not trying to like, it's just so cool that you've done that. Mm-hmm. And you've been very deliberate in making sure that you did that stuff. And that's just something that you just don't know what's going to happen. And like, I think that's been a little unexpected. I thought that you would try to do that, but you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I am surprised that I've been able to stay pretty consistent.
Like extremely, like she's working out 6 days a week.
Oh, another thing. Well, that would be one thing. Like I would tell myself again, or like, don't harp like if you have to take the days off and like it's okay to rest, but also like try to have a goal that you can stick to, because during the hard times you'll need something to like push you through to like get you there. And also like think about the future and what your future self will like. So like in the beginning when I was feeling so sick and it was hard to work out, like now I'm grateful that I didn't take that time off because I was able to keep my fitness level where it was. And same thing with like meal prepping, and we just baked all these casseroles so that we can have food. And it's just like, think about your future self and what you can do now to thank yourself later.
The other thing that it's a little unexpected. I thought we would be more overwhelmed with like this last part of the pregnancy and like expecting baby to come and stuff. And I probably shouldn't have been surprised by this because we are big planners and we do a lot of research and just get everything ready. And we've done that so much to the point to where like, besides the stuff of like not exactly knowing what to do as a parent and how to take care of an infant, I feel like we have all our ducks in a row as much as they can be. And so that I thought we'd be more stressed out.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Well, we did everything much earlier on, yeah.
Yeah, like we got the baby's room ready.
We
did
literally
all the
have
painting.
nothing left to do.
We have pretty much nothing left to do
Except
besides
pack our bags.
Yeah, besides the uncontrollable stuff, more or less, of like we've even taken classes on, sleeping with like for the baby and sleep and all this stuff or whatever, just to prepare ourselves, because I had no idea what like an infant's like sleep and wake cycles are like, or any of that stuff, what their feeding windows, any of those things we had to learn. And so we've done a lot of that. So
I think the scariest part right now, obviously not labor, but like breastfeeding, not knowing. I feel like we don't know a lot about that yet. We put that part off because we were like, hey, let's do all the things that are first and then we'll learn more about that. And it's just a lot depends on your baby. And like, we don't know yet.
Yeah. How are you preparing for like these, like things like that? Are you mentally preparing yourself, or just,
I think it's one of those things that, yeah, I'm mentally prepared of like, would I like to do it? Yes. But I understand that not everyone is able to breastfeed and not every baby is able to feed that way. And so like, if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, but I would like to do it. But I haven't done a lot of like, I don't know how the pump works. I don't know how, well, that's like not part of breastfeeding, I guess, but kind of, but like, I don't know anything about that stuff.
Are you anxious about like what work and things like that are going to look like? Because, you don't have a traditional job. So it's not, I think some people that have like a traditional maternity leave and they know exactly what that's going to look like, and they're truly going to be, I'm going to be out for 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 weeks, and they know what it's going to be. You don't really have that.
Yeah, I definitely am worried about how the flow will work, but I think it's just something that we're going to have to figure out. And that like we've basically said, for 2 weeks, like we're just going to figure life out, and then we'll have to get back into it because we have to make money and we have to keep the business going. And if we have to pass the baby off or like, I don't know, figure out a schedule, we're just going to have to figure it out as we go.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little bit one of those things that like no matter what, you have to figure it out. So there's not, we both have taken the mindset of we shouldn't be too stressed over something that regardless we're going to figure out and make it work.
And it's very nice that everything's in the house because it would be so drastically different if we had to like go somewhere.
Would you say that you're happier in our current situation, like with what we do for work, that type of stuff, or are you wishing that you kind of had a more traditional job right now with the maternity leave and all of that?
I definitely think there would be nice things about having a traditional maternity leave. But I don't know. I feel like, there's pros and cons to both because I'll get to be physically with my baby longer, but then that also is really hard to get work done. So I don't know. What about you as a father?
I feel like the current situation may be better just because of the flexibility that it gives us. I feel like it would be a lot harder, particularly on you. Like if it was like a lot of people, dads don't get paternity leave. So like imagine if I was having to be in an office 9 to 5 all the time. It's like I feel like I would be really not able to help out with hardly anything. Now, even though I'll still having to do a lot of the same work, I can, shift my schedule to where I can be more helpful. And I think that's something that I'm excited to be able to do. It definitely will be difficult, but I think that is a benefit. But at the same time, like there is just something that's nice about I feel like you have the structure and like the less unknown in a job.
Yeah.
Someone else's job, like, you know what I mean? In an office.
Yeah.
Working for someone else.
I think I'm most looking forward to being able to move my body in the way that I can. Like getting out of bed or like off the couch is so hard. And right now there's like feet all the way up. So like I can barely bend forward. So I feel like I don't even remember what it feels like to be able to move your body how you want to. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I feel like you're in that point of pregnancy where it's like, I'm pretty much ready for this baby to be coming out soon.
Yeah.
You're just feeling extra large.
Extra large and in charge.
The other thing that was a little bit, you had asked me like the expectations thing. I thought you would probably be more like have cravings and like having late night run to the store, like things like that. And that basically never happened ever.
I think if we had an unlimited budget, I would have definitely done that.
Yeah. And we're like, go get me this right now.
I think about ice cream every night, but it's not in the budget. So I must suffer.
You have had ice cream a lot of times. You buy it all the time.
Not fresh ice cream from the ice cream parlor.
Oh, yeah. Well, who has a budget to go to the ice cream parlor every night?
Yeah, someone does. Jeff Bezos does. Speaking of Jeff Bezos and bougie people, I think that another piece of advice I have is like to figure out what things you want for your baby or for yourself and then make a list. And then say like, well, which like high-end items like do I need or do I really want? Because there's so many expensive things. So figuring out like how you're going to budget all these items and where do you actually want to spend your money? And then can you find them used from someone, Facebook Marketplace, or like could you rent one to see if you like it? There's like a lot of rental companies too. And I just think it can get very expensive, and don't get caught up in all of these super bougie things when there are lots of dupes or lots of other low price items as well.
I'm actually very surprised that I haven't gotten sucked into. I'm very much like, I like the brand name, like fancy thing for like lots of different stuff.
Nick got sucked into the car seat.
The car seat.
Yeah, you were very passionate about what car seat you wanted.
Well, for the safety part, we weren't gonna get like a cheap knockoff car seat because I thought it just made more sense to get the ones. We didn't have to be that. We don't have the nicest one out there.
One of.
I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because it's important for it to be good.
Yeah. I think that was like the only thing that you were really like, oh, I really want this one. But everything else, yeah, I'm surprised.
But we got good deals on it. It's not like we.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have done
What's the most expensive thing that we purchased for this child? This house? Actually for the child.
The labor. The doctor's visit.
The hospital bill.
I don't know. We've done a really good job on getting deals on a lot of stuff. I mean, thanks really to Dani. I don't think it's because we've been neglectful on getting stuff, because we pretty much have everything that we need.
We got so many things passed down to us for free.
That was really the, friends, if you're listening, you guys are lifesavers, because our church group, we are the last ones to have kids in our church group, and they just were lifesavers, passing down so many things. Strollers, clothes.
The Nuna car seat, the Mockingbird stroller. We got lots of clothes.
Bassinet.
The bassinet, yeah.
I mean, so much stuff.
The snoo, the swing.
So many things. And that's just we've been very grateful and lucky about that.
We bought the crib, which was $100 on Marketplace. And yeah, we really didn't buy much, did we?
No, with the baby shower and stuff, we got a lot of really great stuff from friends and family that way too.
The only thing we don't have is clothing past newborn, because we don't know the gender and we didn't really know what style we were going for.
My thought is we got more useful stuff because we didn't know the gender.
For sure.
Then I feel like a lot of times people would have bought clothing if they knew it was a boy or a girl, where we didn't get nearly as much stuff. The stuff we got was gender neutral, more or less. But yeah.
We're going to have to buy clothes pretty quickly after this baby's born. But for all the things that we didn't have to buy, I think that we're doing good.
And I know a children's embroidery place where we can get some really cool stuff.
That's going to be so fun to create like special items just for our kid.
I feel like we, had that same experience with our dogs, and now with the baby, it's going to be like, oh, I can make this really cute thing.
We could all match.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That is definitely in our future.
Are you prepared for it?
Yes. What else about this this really was a pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, and then looking to the future. Do you feel like you want to chat about?
I guess like one thing I really just didn't know or think about beforehand were the options of who you can have deliver your baby and where you can deliver your baby. Like, I just was so uneducated.
Yeah, you could have been. I was.
Like, I just assumed doctors had to deliver your baby when like there's midwives as an option, and like I didn't even know what a doula was, and I just didn't know about all these people that could be involved in your birth. So I think it's important to learn about your options with that. And like, you don't have to give birth in a hospital. You could have a home birth. You could also go to a birthing center. Like, I didn't even know what a birthing center was. And so you have options, and I didn't know about any of that stuff. So if it was me listening to this before I got pregnant, I'd be like, oh yeah, what is that? Maybe I should learn about that and figure out what would work best for me.
2 last questions. Where for that information would be like the best bang for your buck time for a new person that has no idea to go look?
My favorite person to watch her videos and listen to, I feel like, is biased.
You're biased?
No, like she's biased.
Oh.
Like she's talking about like what she thinks is best. She's not telling you your options with no bias. So
what's her name?
Take that with a grain of salt. But her page is called Built to Birth, and her name is Bridget Tyler. And she's who we have watched like all of her videos, and we didn't actually pay for the course to take her whole birthing course. But I have basically learned everything free that she has on the internet. And I think it has been very helpful for us. But it is definitely geared towards someone who wants a certain thing, and there are people who want something else. So it won't be for everyone.
Last question. Are you going to miss pregnancy?
No. I think that it's really cool. I'm so grateful, and it's amazing. I'm like literally in awe every day of what your body knows to do, how to do, when to do it, all those things. And I think I will miss like feeling the baby move, because that's really cool. But overall, I really, for like 9 months, have not felt like myself at all. I'm so tired. I don't feel good. Like the whole feeling part I don't like, and I think that I would never walk around being like, oh, I miss feeling that way.
Well, the good thing is the baby's coming very soon. This is a really fun episode. We're going to try our best to not miss any podcasts, but if we do, give us a grace because we have a newborn. But yeah.
What's your final guess, boy or girl?
Boy.
Team boy.
You?
I'm team girl.
See you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.